Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's special council meeting. We have two items on the agenda. The first is appointments to boards and committees, and the second is motion to go into camera on a particular land acquisition disposition matter. So we'll start off with committee appointments, and we'll work off the long 8.5 by 14 sheets, beginning with our standing committees of council. Everybody has their ballots if we need them for the appointments, and as we know, we have in front of us the recommendations of our nominating committee with respect to all of the advisory committees. We've also been advised by the Centre in the Square that they'll be coming back to us in December with their final list, and Kitchener Housing has advised that they'll be coming back in December as well, based on some changes in their situation. So I think that's it, and so we can get going. And we'll start off with the Committee and Infrastructure's committee recommendations. And so we'll start with motions for Chair of Community and Infrastructure Services Committee. Councillor Galloway-Seelock.
Yeah, I nominate Councillor Bill Ioannidis.
Okay. Councillor Yanetsky.
I nominate Yvonne Fernandez.
Okay. Councillor Gazzola.
I nominate Councillor Marsh.
Okay, well, I'll get to that point. Hang on. Councillor Marsh, are you nominating someone, or?
No.
Okay. Are there any others? Okay, if not, sorry? Oh, you want to move someone else? Okay, Councillor Gazzola.
I nominate Councillor Schneider.
Okay. Any other nominations? No? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Marsh.
Just if we want to respectfully decline, at what point do we do that?
We're going to do that in
okay,
1 second now.
All right.
We go through the list, so we take all the nominations, and then we do any declines. So, Councillor Schneider, do you accept or not? Okay. Councillor Marsh. Decline. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Fernandez.
I accept.
You accept. Councillor Ioannidis. You accept. Okay. So we'll be voting for one of Councillor Ioannidis or Councillor Fernandez.
Councillor Marsh, Ioannidis. Councillor Schneider, Ioannidis. Councillor Yanetsky, Fernandez. Councillor Fernandez, Fernandez. Mayor Vrabanovic, Ioannidis. Councillor Davey, Ioannidis. Councillor Galloway-Seelock, Ioannidis. Councillor Etherington, Ioannidis. Councillor Singh, Ioannidis. Councillor Gazzola, Fernandez. Councillor Ioannidis, Ioannidis.
Okay, so it'll be Councillor Ioannidis is the chair. We'll now move on to vice chair. Take nominations for vice chair. Councillor Davey.
I'll move Councillor Marsh.
Okay, Councillor Marsh. Any other nominations? Councillor Etherington.
Councillor Schneider.
Okay. Councillor Gazzola.
I nominate Councillor Fernandez.
Okay. Any other nominations? Nope. Okay, so we'll go through the list. Councillor Fernandez, do you accept? Yes. Okay. Councillor Schneider, do you accept? Okay. Councillor Marsh, do you accept? Okay, thank you. So we'll have a vote. And it's one of Councillor Marsh or Fernandez.
Councillor Gazzola, Fernandez. Councillor Marsh, Marsh. Councillor Schneider, Marsh. Councillor Unesky, Fernandez. Councillor Fernandez, Fernandez. Councillor Etherington, Marsh. Councillor Singh, Marsh. Councillor Ioannidis, Marsh. Councillor Galloway-Sealock, Marsh. Councillor Davey, Marsh. Mayor Vrbanovic, Marsh.
Okay, so Councillor Marsh is the new vice chair. We'll move on to Financing Corporate Services. Nominations for chair. Councillor Schneider.
I nominate Councillor Davey.
Okay. Councillor Fernandez.
I nominate Councillor Gazzola.
Okay. Any other nominations? Oh, okay. So we have two nominees. Councillor Gazzola, do you accept the nomination? Okay. Councillor Gazzola said he'll accept the nomination. Councillor Davey, he does. Okay. So we have one of two people to vote for committee chair. Either pick one of Councillor Davey or Gazzola. Sure where Councillor Yanetsky's gone.
Mayor Vrbanovic, Davey. Councillor Gazzola, Gazzola. Councillor Marsh, Davey. Councillor Schneider, Davey. Councillor Fernandez, Gazzola. Councillor Galloway-Sealock, Davey. Councillor Davey, Davey. Councillor Ioannidis, Davey. Councillor Singh, Davey. Councillor Etherington, Davey.
Okay, so Councillor Davey is the chair. And we'll now go on to vice chair nominations, please. Councillor Davey.
I'll move Councillor Schneider.
Councillor Schneider. Additional nominations, Councillor Fernandez.
Councillor Gazzola.
Councillor Gazzola's been moved. Any other nominations? Okay, Councillor Gazzola. Do you accept? Do you accept? Okay. Councillor Schneider, do you accept? Okay. So we have a vote then. One of either Councillor Schneider or Gazzola.
Councillor Gazzola, Gazzola. Councillor Marsh, Schneider. Councillor Schneider, Schneider. Councillor Fernandez, Gazzola. Mayor Verbanovic, Schneider. Councillor Galloway-Sealock, Schneider. Councillor Davey, Schneider. Councillor Ioannidis, Schneider. Councillor Singh, Schneider. Councillor Etherington, Schneider.
Okay, so that would be Councillor Schneider. We'll now go on to planning and strategic initiatives. Councillor Gazzola.
I nominate Councillor Yanetsky.
Okay, Councillor Yanetsky isn't in the room. I don't know if you'll accept.
I don't think it matters.
Well, Councillor Gazzola, I think you've been around long enough to know that he either has to accept or not accept. I can go check.
I'll say it again, I don't think it matters.
Thanks for that comment. Councillor Etherington.
I would nominate Paul Singh, Councillor Singh.
Okay. I'm going to go and check what Councillor Yanetsky's status is. Councillor Yanetsky's indicated he won't be participating in balloting, so normally he would have to be here to either accept or decline. So we'll have to, at this point, we only have one nominee then, and that would be Councillor Singh. Councillor Gazzola?
Well, I'll nominate Councillor Fernandez.
Okay, that's fine.
I hate to waste his ballots.
Councillor Fernandez, do you accept? Councillor Singh, do you accept? Okay, thank you. So ask people to vote for one of Singh or Fernandez.
Councillor Singh, Singh. Councillor Fernandez, Fernandez. Councillor Schneider, Singh. Councillor Gazzola, Fernandez. Councillor Marsh, Singh. Mayor Verbanovic, Singh. Councillor Galloway-Sealock, Singh. Councillor Davey, Singh. Councillor Ioannidis, Singh. Councillor Etherington, Singh.
Okay, so Councillor Singh would be the chair. We'll now take nominations for vice chair. Councillor Gazzola.
I nominate Councillor Fernandez.
Okay. Councillor Davey.
I nominate Councillor Galloway-Sealock.
Okay. Councillor Fernandez.
I nominate Councillor Gazzola.
Okay. Thank you. Any other nominations? Okay, if not, Councillor Gazzola.
Yeah, leave, yeah.
Councillor Galloway-Silak. Councillor Fernandez. Okay. We'll vote for one of Fernandez, Galloway-Silak, or Gazzola.
Councillor Ioannidis, Galloway-Silak, Councillor Gazzola, Fernandez, Councillor Marsh, Galloway-Silak, Councillor Fernandez, Gazzola, Councillor Schneider, Galloway-Silak, Councillor Mayor Verbanovic, Councillor Silak, Councillor Davey, Galloway-Silak, Councillor Galloway-Silak, Galloway-Silak, Councillor Singh, Galloway-Silak, Councillor Etherington, Galloway-Silak.
Okay, so Councillor Galloway-Silak would be the vice chair of the committee. Okay, moving on then to Animal Designation Appeal Committee. We have 3 people who were on it. Councillor Fernandez, Councillor Schneider, and Councillor Marsh as the alternate. We'll start with the people who are there to see if there's any interest in staying. Councillor Fernandez, are you interested in staying? Okay. Councillor Schneider, are you interested in staying? Okay. Councillor Marsh, are you interested in? Go ahead.
I'm fine to continue as the alternate, but I'm not interested to continue up the ladder to actually be on the committee at this moment in this year. But if anybody really wants to be the alternate, I will graciously step down.
Okay. Okay. So we're in need of an additional person to. Councillor Ioannidis, do you want to?
Yeah, I nominate Councillor Gazzola.
Any other nominations? Councillor Fernandez. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I nominate Councillor Etherington.
Okay. Any other nominations? Councillor Marsh.
Is with the absence of Councillor Yanetsky, does that mean that he will not be nominated to any board just because he's not here? Is that how we're doing that?
He hasn't indicated that he hasn't provided us with any list of things he's interested in sitting on, and I went and checked with him, and he's choosing not to participate.
Does that mean that then everybody else takes on the load of the person who decided not to show up?
At this point, that would be the case.
Can I ask the clerk, is there any rule about that, like being appointed in absentia?
Madam Clerk? What are you thinking? I don't know how to turn you on because you're all powerful. Not it's the sapiential authority that former clerk Bob Pritchard used to tell me you folks had.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as per our procedural bylaws, one cannot, if one is not here, one cannot participate in voting and therefore cannot be part of the proceedings if one is not present.
That doesn't answer my question. I'm trying to understand if we can nominate a person and whether or not they're here, others could vote them in. No?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if the individual is not here to accept the nomination, they cannot proceed to be voted upon with respect to the particular position.
Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor.
I didn't know my mic was on, but
Oh, okay, go ahead.
just looking at the animal designation and dog designation, we're looking, do we have to do these separately, or can we do them together since the same people were on them the last time and this time?
Yeah, we can do them together, so I'll ask that as we go along.
Okay, thank you.
It'll save, yes, so Councillor Fernandez, are you willing to be on both? Yep. And Councillor Marsh, the alternate on both? Okay, so now we'll deal with the additional nominee, Councillor Etherington. Do you accept?
Would decline, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Gazzola? You decline. Okay, folks, we do need an additional person there, or I guess Councillor Marsh becomes the de facto alternate. Councillor Fernandez.
I just want to speak on behalf of this committee. You know what? It's really not a daunting job. I know that Councillor Davies did a great job when he was on it, and so did Councillor Schneider. So really consider, we really need the help and we really need the support from council on this, both animal and dog appeal, although it's mainly been dog appeal. And it's the same day as council, so you're not putting yourself out too much.
Okay, thank you. Are there any additional nominees? Councillor Marsh.
I move to defer that one role decision until all of council is here.
Okay, so accept just yourself and Councillor Fernandez for now. And
Because you know what, I bet you that if Councillor Yanetsky had the opportunity, he just might be interested in that role.
okay, we can do that in the absence of. I think that still gives us the two that we need, Madam Clerk. Correct? Councillor Gazzola?
I will do the alternate role. If Councillor Marsh will do the full role.
Well, I guess if we had two alternates, Madam Clerk, could we alternate between the alternates? Yep. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Gazzola.
And I have served on this in prior years. I know nothing about animals.
Thank you. Appreciate.
I hate dogs.
Appreciate that. So we have Councillor Fernandez as a committee member and Councillors Gazzola and Marsh as alternates. Okay, we'll now move to the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee. We'll start off with the councillor. Councillor Schneider, are you interested in continuing on this committee? Okay. Are there other nominations? There don't appear to be any other nominations. So, Councillor Schneider, you are back on that committee. And then we get to the nominations from the nominating committee, which is found in, on Schedule A. And you'll see that the nominations that have been brought forward are Shirley Medill, Sam Vartenyuk, Michelle Nutzman, Pam Patel, Lydia Workman, Aaron Francis, Judy Allred, Bob Egan, Julie Sulis, Linda Zensner, and Danielle DeVoe. I see two people have clicked in. Councillor Fernandez.
Yes, I would like to pass a motion that we accept all of those nominees.
Okay, so I will take that. Councillor Marsh.
I agree. I would also add that we suggest two alternates from the list of unassigned applicants so that during any, time of natural attrition that this council this committee of council could easily have a new person step in.
And are you suggesting anyone for those
Yeah,
alternates?
so from the list of unassigned applicants on Schedule B, I am suggesting Deb Westman, number 13, and Lori Thompson, number 11.
Sorry, Deb Westman and Corey Thompson?
Lori
Thompson.
Yeah,
Sorry.
number 11.
And are you suggesting them in that order?
Oh, well, no. If Lori Thompson is number 11, then that makes sense to be first, and then Deb Westman, those two.
Okay. Councillor Schneider.
I also support number 11, Lori Thompson.
Okay. Councillor Ioannidis. Whoops. Councillor Ioannidis, go ahead.
Yeah, I will support Lori Thompson as well.
Okay. So Councillor Fernandez has moved the group, and then there's been the suggestion of Lori Thompson as the first alternate and Deb Westman as a second alternate. Councillor Fernandez, are you comfortable with that as well?
Yes, I am. I just have a question. How is the attendance? Like, I'm looking at the attendance overall from the returnees, and have we had a challenge with quorum in this committee? Don't know.
Councillor Schneider, can you speak to that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Schneider.
We haven't had issues with quorum, but there are times in different periods of the year where the attendance is a little lower.
Okay, I support
So-
the additions. I want to make sure that it doesn't make it an unwieldy committee, which I don't think it will, because we don't have that many on that committee to start off with. Okay, thanks. I support.
Right, so these additions actually would only be if vacancies happen later on during the year.
Oh,
They're
okay.
alternates.
Is that the intent, Councillor Marsh? Was that your intent? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so the motion that's before us is to accept the group with Lori Thompson as the first alternate and Deb Westman as the second alternate. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. I should just go back to, we didn't actually do a vote on the Animal Designation Appeal Committee. So Councillor Fernandez as the main and Councillors Gazzola and Marsh as the two alternates. All those in favor? Opposed? You were in favor? Okay. That's carried. Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to the Committee of Revision. We'll start with the names that are there. Councillor Yanetsky, are you interested in continuing on this one? Okay. Councillor Schneider, are you interested in continuing on this one? Yes. Councillor Gazzola, are you interested in continuing on this one? Yes. Okay. Councillor Fernandez, are you interested in continuing on this one? No. No? Okay. And Councillor Ioannidis, are you interested in continuing as an alternate, or I guess you'd be willing to go on it? Okay. Are there any other nominations for this committee? I guess we would need an alternate now. Potentially any nominations for alternate? Councillor Kelly Galloway Seelock. Okay. Any other nominations? If not, then the members of the committees would be Councillor Yanetsky, Schneider, Gazzola, and Ioannidis, with Galloway Seelock as the alternate. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to Compass Kitchener. And on the recommendations coming forward from the committee, the nominating committee are Courtney Arsenault, Tangul Bilgahan, Jeff Brown, Lynn Gazzola, Adam Hammoud, Mark Paul, John Shitka, Judy Stevens-Wells, Laurie Trumper, Roberto Villamar, Lisa Hallman, and Birgit Heilig. Councillor Fernandez.
Yes, I would like to add Amber Seri to Compass Kitchener. Looking at her nomination form, I noted that she's been quite involved in a number of different areas, and Compass Kitchener has a huge responsibility. It just adds another person when they break out into subcommittees, especially when they're working on projects like the report card and those kind of positions. She's number 32.
32, thank you. Councillor Marsh. Go ahead.
I concur with that suggestion, and I would also suggest that we add to the roster Leighton Collins, number 27, because we don't have a full roster, and in my experience, sometimes committees do actually have a challenge with quorum, and I hate to turn someone down who's a qualified, candidate for no terrific reason.
Okay, we can maybe just ask the clerk. Sorry, so number 32 was
Amber.
Oh, sorry. And can you repeat your name then again, Councillor Marsh?
Oh, number 27, Leighton.
Okay, Madam Clerk, so if you can just tell us in terms of all of these as we go along. How the committee went through them, and if all the spots weren't filled, why we left some empty?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the nominating committee looked at the applications and did their very best to ascertain through that application whether they felt that the person's skill set qualifications best matched. In this particular instance, the individuals that Compass Kitchener did select, they felt were the folks who were the most qualified for this particular committee.
Okay, but I guess can you just help us in terms of why they left spots empty, if there were spots? Or there weren't spots empty in this instance?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's because at this particular point, even though there are spots that are empty, it's because the nominating committee felt that there were no other candidates whom they felt were best qualified for this particular committee.
Oh yeah, actually, the committee calls for 8 to 12, and there's 12 nominees. So we would have to either increase it, accept the nominations of the nominating committee, or vote for Amber and Leighton over and above, and not go with the recommendation in part from the nominating committee. Councillor Fernandez?
I like what Councillor Marsh did in in having these two people, like in the previous one, having those two people as the first choice for alternates ones if there was attrition on Compass Kitchener. Is that something maybe we should be considering for all of the committees as we move forward? Does that work, Madam Clerk? That we're not negating the work that the nominating committee did, but we're at least in a position so you know what the will of council is if we see attrition on the committees.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I was focused on something else and I missed your question, Councillor Fernandez.
That's okay.
My apologies.
That's okay. I liked Councillor Marsh's suggestion for the previous committee when she made a suggestion to have 2 alternates that were already chosen from the nominating, that weren't chosen through the nominating committee, but to make sure that they were ready if we have that natural attrition that happens on a lot of advisory committees. This way you would know what the will of council is with regards to any new committee members. Does that make sense?
It does, through you, Mr. Mayor, and it's something that council can certainly do, just remembering, of course, that by the time if there is no attrition, these folks, or even if there is, depending on the timing at which there might be attrition, these folks may have moved on to some other activities and may no longer be available or interested in standing for the committee, but certainly from staff's perspective, enabling us to move forward more quickly and expeditiously, having alternates does assist us in that way.
Okay, and yeah, I mean, certainly they may go on to other activities if they're already passionate about volunteering.
Correct.
Okay, so is that the suggestion that's being made then, that these would be alternates, or?
That's my suggestion.
Okay, so Amber and then Leighton? So that's the will of council going forward. I mean, maybe one of the things that staff can look at for next time around, 2 years from now, is suggest to the nominating committee, in fact, that they provide us with their sort of first and second choice for alternates, because that way they would be vetted through in a similar way. Councillor Galloway-Silak.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, like, I think this stems from the library board has done this, and we've done this for the library board in the past. My only caution is with the library board, because it's a 4-year term, it's a lot longer commitment, and there tends to be that turnover and needing to have, like, we've used both of ours already this term. These ones are not only, but it's still a huge commitment, 2-year commitment. So I don't know if, I don't mind this time kind of doing it. I do like your suggestion that if moving forward, we're going to look at this, that we have the nominating committee give 1 and 2 if there is a 1 and 2. But I think the history was with a 4-year board, you tend to see a lot more of that turnover in the 4-year time, and it helps bring people on board quicker.
Okay, thank you. So the nomination, or so the motion right now is the names that are here with Amber Sari as the first alternate and Leighton Collins as the second. Councillor Ioannidis.
Can we put vote on them separately?
We can. Okay, so we'll deal with when you say separately about whether or not we want to have alternates and those people. You're not asking me to replace the fixed list with, you're not. Okay, so we'll deal with the recommendations of the nominating committee first. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And all those in favor of Amber Sari as alternate 1 and Leighton Collins as alternate 2? All those in favor? Opposed? That too is carried. We'll move on to Cycling and Trails Advisory Committee. And we have a number of nominations here as well. First of all, Councillor Fernandez, are you interested in continuing on that committee?
Yes, please.
Okay, any other nominations from Council? If not, Councillor Fernandez moves Councillor Fernandez. All those in tongue-tied. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to the nominees, and they are Eric Blyford, Daniel Brotherston, Marcus Drozdo, Colleen Evan, Kristen Fox, Daniel Hoshowski, Britton Jenner, Robin Mazumder, Monica Oviedo, Laura Paprotsky, Paulina Rodriguez, Justin Williams, and Kendra Young. Councillor Fernandez.
So this is a committee that we have had some challenges with quorum, and so I'm going to ask the committee to add Tim Molson. He has actually been very, very involved with TriTag, and his connection with Mike Bowes, who is a very passionate cyclist, I think is a really good opportunity for that perspective to, not to say that some of these other people may not, but reading their nominations, none of them came through that strongly in that same voice that Mike Bowes had. So I'd like to respectfully add Tim Molson. Oh, sorry, I don't know what his number is. I'll get 105, thank you.
Number 105. Excuse me. Okay, so there's been a motion to use this list and add Tim Mollison. Any other nominations? Okay, so the first thing, we just need to get concurrence to add the 14th member. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And the motion has been for the list of names there and Tim Mollison. All those in favor? That too is carried. We've done Dog Designation Appeal Committee already. We'll now get to the Downtown Action and Advisory Committee. Councillor Etherington, are you interested in continuing on that committee? Oh, actually, no, there, you're right. Thank you. Councillor Singh.
Yes, actually, I was trying to key in before the earlier committee for cycling and trails.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We voted on it. No, this is more of a comment more than anything. For number 47, it designates that person as person of color. I like to think all are persons of certain colors, but I think visible minority is a little bit more suitable as a identifier of why that person is recommended. Just personal input, anyways.
I think that may be from his application, but...
Was it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess they're a person of extra color.
Okay, so Downtown Action, Councillor Etherington and Marsh are already there. There's a number of recommendations as well as a number of vacancies still. The recommendations are Melissa Bowman, Amina Gilani, Ruben Grin, David Harms, Alexis Hunt, Brian Santos, Scott Thompson, Martin Timmerman, Brian Gratian, Christine Clark, Bryn Ossington, and Doug Farrour. Councillor Marsh.
Having sat on this committee, I want to say that it's a great committee and clearly very popular. It's probably the most, that's the one that we have the most unassigned applicants from. And one of the applications was from somebody who sat on the committee for 6 years, and the application looked like it was it's the same application that she gave from 2 years ago, so I'm not sure if there was a I'm not sure how that happened. But I think that she would probably agree that after 6 years that it might be okay to step down, and she hasn't been on the committee she hasn't actually showed up for many times. So I just want to suggest that we switch out Amina Gilani, number 58, and invite her to reapply in 2 years, but to give somebody who's never had a chance on the committee to step in instead, and that would be Paul Girgiu, number 59. We're always looking for more youth on our committees, and he specifically applied with that addition in mind.
Okay. Are there other nominations, Councillor Fernandez.
Yes, I was looking at, Masa Raskovic, as well as Michael Iliescu. Michael's criteria is that he's a realtor, which might fulfill, sorry, I had my blank one, might fulfill one of the criteria that we have. Do we? Okay. I don't know that committee too well. The other one was Masa Raskovic, and the reason I thought, when I looked at, she's a consultant industry and a structural engineer, so that would put her in the consultant category. I know we have one already for the consultant category, but I thought that it might be helpful to have an additional member. There we go. Sorry, developer,
okay.
I was thinking owner, developer.
Okay. So, I guess two things. First of all, I understand, Madam Clerk, on the attendance for Ms. Galani, there's an explanation. Can you share that with us?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, there are extenuating circumstances with respect to Ms. Galani's attendance, and it's for personal reasons.
Okay, but the committee considered that and still recommended her?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Councillor Marsh.
The last in her application she shows that she's an employee of Manulife. Is that still the case? Because if it were, she could be considered a downtown business representative, and if we added one more member at large, then that would not negatively affect anything. Madam Clerk.
We're checking.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I cannot really comment beyond what appears in Ms. Galani's application form.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Mr. Bloom, hold on, Mr. Bloom, you can answer that one for us?
Through the chair, I believe she's at Sun Life. She switched from Manulife. She's now at Sun Life. And I believe the Sun Life location. I believe the Waterloo Sun Life, not the downtown Sun Life.
Okay, so no longer.
Oh, darn. I want it to be easy.
Okay. Councillor Davey?
Sorry, I just need clarification. Councillor Marsh moved, I'm just going to go by ID numbers, number 59, and which were and Councillor Fernandez moved?
Michael Iliescu and Masa Raskovic.
Can I get the IDs for those, sorry? 64 and 68, and I guess I would ask for the ability to be adding, like increasing the size of this committee versus replacing members as well. Is that something we can do?
Well, vacancies are in certain categories, so the question is, do these people meet those categories? Number one, and I do think, and you know, I mean, it's the will of the committee in this regard, but I do think that when we have a nominating committee, except for some extenuating circumstances where, for example, we've decided to go ahead and add alternates. and look at that from a policy perspective going forward. I would think that if we're going to start adding a number of names, we may be better to send that one back to the advisory committee. I think the other, or to the nominating committee rather. I think the other piece that perhaps we need to look at is, is the makeup of the committee, and this is something that the committee would need to look at, with specifically five spots for business owners and 5 for building owners, when we can't fill, it looks like, 5 of those plus 2 of them. Maybe that needs to be relooked at and have more general people as opposed to those specific ones. So something I think for the committee to think about. Yeah. So you're saying leave it as it is for now and send it back to the committee, from your perspective, or to the nominating, or to the committee to look at the makeup of the. Hold on, Councillor. Go ahead.
The Downtown Action Advisory Committee still has one meeting left, so that we could bring that forward to the committee before we before we send it back to the nominating committee and ask them to take on more work, when really the committee can be a part of deciding the makeup, right? And then we can just bring forward current potential candidates at a future council meeting.
So you're suggesting you would take the issue of the makeup to the current committee?
Yes.
And bring a recommendation back, and that recommendation, if the makeup changed, might also see the nominating committee reconsider some of these names?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Fernandez?
I really liked the comment that Councillor Marsh made with relation to the youth applicant, number 59. We just had youth forum here on Thursday. So I'll take off the other 2 that I added, but I would really like to encourage this young person to sit on our Downtown Advisory Committee. He's going to be bringing in a youth perspective that, although I know we don't have that as a vacancy specific, I think he would be really benefit the committee.
Okay. And sorry, that would be
Paul
Jurgu?
ID 59.
Any other comments on that? Councillor Marsh?
Yeah, I was the one who brought him forward, and I appreciate Councillor Fernandez's support. However, since we are at this point just coming back to the DAC group this month, I think I do appreciate the support, but I think we should really just wait on all additions until we hear from the committee, and then I think I'll have more confidence in making sure that I'm not that there are other factors I haven't considered.
Okay, Councillor Fernandez, did you want to go ahead with that then, or do you want to leave it till? Okay, so the motion then right now then is that we accept the names that are here, and that the makeup of the committee goes back to DAC to take a look at and bring recommendations back, including any additional nominees, subject to their considerations. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We'll now go on to the Economic Development Advisory Committee. Councillor Davey, are you interested in continuing on that committee? Councillor Singh? Thank you. Councillor Ioannidis? Okay, thank you. Any other councillors interested in being on that committee? Councillor Fernandez?
I'd like to.
No, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Yanetsky for that committee.
Okay. Councillor Yanetsky, do you allow your name to sit? Decline. Okay. Any other nominees? Madam Clerk, can you just remind me, actually, because I know we've been looking at this issue recently, is is it just the mayor, or is it all members of council that are ex officio of any committees?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the mayor is ex officio on any committees where one or more council members are appointed to the committee.
Okay, but not other members of council.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So right now we have the 3 recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And then coming from the nominating committee, we have the following: Mark Johnson, Sandra O'Hagan, Keith Summers, Jeffrey Gwynn, Jeremy Auger, Barclay Whitaker, Andrew Head, Mark Pelechny, Mark Bingaman, Joanna Klassen-Romero, Barry Lowry, Mark Darrow, and Anthony Zamet. And we have vacancies that we still need to look to fill in major retail outside of downtown, office owner, health sciences, housing, manufacturing, and labor council. Somebody want to move that list of names? Moved by Councillor Singh. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Move on to the Environment Committee. Councillor Fernandez, are you interested in continuing on that committee?
I do.
Okay. Any other nominations? Councillor Fernandez.
Yes, I would like to.
No, hold on.
Sorry.
We're doing councillor nominations right now.
Sorry.
Any other nominations? No. So all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Go ahead, Councillor Fernandez. Actually, let me just read out the names of who the committee has brought forward so far. Tina Belanger, Stacey Dankert, Tia Driver, Cynthia Gaetani, Jordan Gray, John Jackson, Rita Joneja, Katerina Milicic, Erica Skopek, Aaron Kelly, and Lane Barasa are the committee members that have been recommended. And that's 11. And the committee calls for 10 to 11 community at large members. Councillor Fernandez.
Yes, with all due respect, I know that we've struggled a lot with quorum at Environmental Committee, and we do have a member that has only attended, 40, I thought I have here 46%. So I would like to add, in light of the fact that that may be the case in the next 2 years, Edward Saxon, and he participated in the Aeronautical Noise Management Advisory Committee, so he's already been part of committees here within the city. I think it would be, he's an environmental engineer, and I think that that's very important to have one of those people sitting on the Environmental Committee.
Madam Clerk, I understand there's some additional information with respect to Ms. Erica Skopek and her attendance.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, Ms. Skopek had some extenuating circumstances with respect to in her personal life, which precluded her from attending the meetings as frequently as she would have liked.
Okay, thank you. So, Councillor Fernandez, the name again of the person that you moved?
Yes, Edward Saxon, number 92.
Okay. Councillor Marsh.
I noticed in the report that staff had indicated to nominees to only put down only apply for committees that they're willing to sit on. And I noticed also that Mr. Saxon has only indicated he's interested in, I'm wrong. Sorry, I thought it was aeronautical. He put down environmental committee, but then he talked about aeronautical. So maybe, maybe that does still apply. My mistake.
Okay. So for us to add an additional member, would require council direction to do that because there are 11 before us. So Councillor Fernandez is, well, let's deal with the main group first. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. The notion of adding an additional member to the committee, regardless of who it is. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And then any other nominees other than Mr. Saxon to be that additional member? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? That too is carried. We'll now move on to GRAC. Councillor Galloway-Seelock, are you interested in continuing on that committee? Go ahead.
I don't mind sitting on it for the second half of the year if somebody would assist me in taking over for the first part of the year. Maybe till summer break, until June.
Okay,
I
Councillor.
would do then June on.
Okay, Councillor Marsh.
If no one else wants to do it, I'm happy to step in.
Okay, is there any other interest? Okay, so we will appoint Councillor Marsh from January to June and Councillor Galloway-Seelock from July through to the end of the year. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Heritage Kitchener. Councillor Netsky, you interested in continuing on that committee? Heritage Kitchener. Yes. Okay. Any other councillors? Councillor Singh?
Yeah, I nominate Councillor Ioannidis, but I had a question. In the past, we used to have more than one councillor. Did we reduce that? Just refresh my memory.
I think we did have 2 or 3
Yeah, we used to
councillors
have 3.
last term, but I think we struggled to identify people last time. Can the clerk help me?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the current terms of reference for Heritage Kitchener call for 1 member of council. I think, yes, previously we had more than 1 member of council in the past, but at this moment the terms of reference call for 1 member of council.
So if more wanted to be on it, then I guess we would have to amend the term of reference then? Or would that have to be sent back to the committee?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, you could handle it in a couple of different ways. I mean, these are council advisory committees of council. If you wish to make a formal motion to amend the terms of reference today, I suppose you could do that, or you could send it back to the committee. I would suggest that perhaps allow staff to take a look at why the terms of reference were amended in the first place, and then have staff report back on that maybe through an email.
Yeah, I advise that. Yeah.
Okay, we have lots of people who want to speak on this one. So, Councillor Gazzola.
Yeah, I'm surprised when I see this because I sat on that committee all last year thinking I was a member, but I guess I wasn't. I thought we increased it to 2 members last year. All the meetings from last year are null and void now. Anyhow,
hopefully there weren't any close votes, Councillor Gazzola.
I would be glad to sit. I would be glad to have a vote. If I don't have a vote, that's fine. I'll sit in the audience. Either way, I'm okay.
Okay, Councillor Fernandez.
I too was under the impression that Councillor Gazzola was on the committee because when at council, when Heritage Committee minutes are adopted, Councillor Gazzola always is the seconder and has signed the documents as well. Well,
no, Councillor. Anybody
it's
can.
Not illegal, but
anybody can move the minutes.
No, I think it was recommendations. Sorry.
Anyone can move the recommendations. It's a question of who officially was on the committee, and we are going to have an official word from the clerk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I stand corrected. The composition of Heritage Kitchener will be 1 to 2 members of council.
Oh, so we had an error. You were right, Councillor Gazzola. Okay. Thank you. We all make mistakes. Councillor Schneider.
I would like to nominate Councillor Etherington.
Okay. Actually, before I continue on, Councillor Gazzola, you were on the committee last year. I'm writing your name. Are you interested in continuing? You are, okay, thank you. Councillor Yanetsky.
Oh, okay, it's on. Years ago, we had 4 on there, and then it got reduced to 2, and I always thought that we always went with 2 because John was there, Councilor Gazzola, and myself, so I was surprised when he said 1, but if it's now 1 or 2, that's fine. That's fine for me.
Okay, Councillor Ioannidis.
I nominate Councillor Singh.
Okay, thank you. Any other nominations? Okay, if not, Councillor Singh. You interested in being on the committee? Okay, Councillor Etherington.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, I would decline. I was on this committee when I first came onto council, and I believe there were 3 then, and it reduced to 2. So, but I decline on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ioannidis.
Sure.
Okay, Councillor Davey.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that this committee reports directly to council, and I'd move that we actually increase it from 2 to 3 members of council.
Okay, so you're moving that we increase it to 3. I'll deal with that first then. All those in favor of increasing it to 3? Opposed? That's carried. So right now then we have 4 people who, so we've increased it to 3 members of council, and so we now need to vote for 3 members of council from Councillors Yanetsky, Gazzola, Ioannidis, and Singh. So your choices are Yanetsky, Gazzola, Ioannidis, and Singh, and you have to vote for 3 of them.
Councillor Singh votes for Ioannidis, Singh, and Yanetsky. Councillor Marsh votes for Gazzola, Singh, and Ioannidis. Councillor Gazzola votes for Yanetsky, Gazzola, Ioannidis. Councillor Schneider votes for Gazzola, Singh, Ioannidis. Councillor Yanetsky votes for Yanetsky, Gazzola, Singh. Councillor Fernandez votes for Yanetsky, Gazzola, Singh. Mayor Verbanovic votes for Yanetsky, Gazzola, Singh. Councillor Davey votes for Gazzola, Ioannidis, Singh. Councillor Galloway-Sealock votes for Gazzola, Ioannidis, Yanetsky. Councillor Etherington votes for Gazzola, Yanetsky, Ioannidis. Councillor Ioannidis votes for Gazzola, Singh, Ioannidis.
What was that last one again? Sorry.
Councillor Ioannidis votes for Gazzola, Singh, and Ioannidis.
Okay. Okay, so that's what I have as well. So it's Councillor Gazzola, Ioannidis, and Singh. Okay, so that's been dealt with. So now we go to the committee members. And the ones being recommended are Chrissy Zalaginas, Kim Hugstead, Steve Strohak, Slavko Miladinovich, Peter Zakura, Stephen Thompson, Ashley Reed, Steve Hamoan, Daniel Lauren, and Steve Burrows. And then there's vacancies under historian, conservateur, building industry, landscape specialist, archaeologist, and St. Mary's Heritage Conservation District. Somebody, Councillor Fernandez.
Yes, in reading Russ Parnell's bio, I noted that he is in the building industry, so that he would fulfill building industry, which is a vacancy. That's number 67.
Sorry, Russ who?
Russ Parnell.
Did he express an interest in heritage?
Yes, it was his third choice, but he did. He does say that he works in the building profession. And
I'm sorry, what number was he?
67.
Is he appointed to a committee?
I couldn't find him on the unassigned applicants anywhere, or any other one, unless I'm totally blind.
He appointed to DAC? No.
I couldn't find his name on any list. He was not appointed to anything.
No. Madam Clerk, can you shed any light on that one? Yep.
The other one I wanted to add was Chris Farley. Again, according to it is his second choice. He was unappointed, and his background does show some historic history. So he could fulfill the vacancy as historian. Sorry, that's number 57. He has a history degree from the U of W. I know that may be a stretch, but at least it's somebody who has some history background.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, with respect to application number 67, it appears to have been a clerical oversight, and yes, the gentleman was intended to be appointed to Heritage Kitchener.
Okay. So, Councillor Marsh?
I just want to ask staff, while we're reviewing this topic, if they could also just look into whether or not there was any clerical error to be fixed for Andrew Portigan, number 21. He's not listed either. Thank you.
Oh. Okay, so in terms of heritage, then the list is as presented, with Ross Parnell added in the building industry category and Chris Farley added in the historian category. Any further discussion? Councillor Singh? No? Okay. So all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Moving on to safe and... Oh, yeah, Madam Clerk, you okay? Go ahead on that additional one that Councillor Marsh just raised.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I can confirm that application number 21 had only indicated an interest in sitting on Centre in the Square Board of Directors.
Okay, thank you. Safe and Healthy Community Advisory. Property Standards Committee first. Wait. Am I missing the recommendations to property standards? Ah. Okay, so I'm clearly not missing them. We need at least 3 people on the committee. There are 6 who applied as their first choice. Barb Blunden, Terry Boutelier, Brendan Levanto, Michael Pulley, Christina Rooney, and Karen Taylor Harrison. And it seems that both Ms. Rooney and Ms. Taylor Harrison are both current members of the committee. Councillor Fernandez.
I'm just wondering why we only have 3 people on this committee. Is it because we're concerned that it, in case of a tie, if there's a vote on a particular situation, or is it that that's just how we've done it historically? And what's the attendance for these people that... Oh, sorry, you're right. Councillor Unetsky pointed out that I didn't look in the right spot.
Councillor Galloway-Sealock. Oh, Councillor Galloway-Sealock.
Yeah, we're just looking to nominate people, right?
Yes.
So I would like to nominate number 70, Christy Schneider. She's unassigned, and number 3 was number 3 for her choice. And I will nominate Karen Taylor Harrison and Christina Rooney.
Okay. Madam Clerk, just on this one, is there a reason why there weren't any recommendations?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's because this particular committee is not an advisory committee, so it's not something that's taken, that the nominating committee makes a slate of recommendations. This is something that council appoints directly.
Okay.
And just to round that out for the number 4, 108 Brandon Levanto.
Okay. So you're moving Taylor Harrison, Rooney, Schneider, and Levanto. Mm-hmm. Councillor Fernandez.
Shouldn't we be picking from this group already that have been recommended, that it was their first choice, before we go to ones that it was their second or third choice?
There's no recommendations here.
Okay.
Certainly
that's
first
fine.
choice is something we can look at.
Yeah, so considering first choice, I would like to recommend Terry Boutelier, Christina Rooney, Karen Taylor Harrison, and Barb Blunden.
Sorry, Barb Blunden?
Yeah, number 106.
Okay, so at this point we have 6 people who have been nominated. Any other nominations? First of all, in terms of Ms. Taylor Harrison, we would need a motion to consider her again, because she has hit the 8 years, correct? And Madam Clerk, that requires, I can't remember, is it unanimous or 2/3?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's 2/3 vote of council present at the time vote is taken.
Okay, thank you. So does somebody want to move, Ms. Taylor Harrison? Yep, move that we grant an exemption. All those in favor of granting the exemption? Can I see a show of hands again? 4, 5, 6. And the chair is in favor as well. All those opposed? 3 opposed. Hold on, I'm missing a hand. So that means you're opposed? Okay, so 8 makes it passes. That's 2/3. Okay, so Madam Clerk, is that committee limited to 4? Well, I'm just trying to, because I think this is one where they just have to have 3 every time, but it doesn't necessarily need to be the same 3. At least 3.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't have the terms of reference for property standards, but it's my understanding that the members rotate through the meetings, and I believe they need 3 at each meeting.
So we could go with more than that. We did go with 4 last time. Councillor Schneider?
I would also like to move number 109, Michael Pulley, nominate him, just to give us more options.
Okay, so we now have 7 people nominated. So if I can just get a consensus, are people comfortable with leaving it at 4, where it was last time? I don't see any motions to the contrary. Okay, so people need to vote for 4 people, and 4 out of Taylor Harrison, Rooney, Schneider, Levanto, Boudelier, Blunden, and Pooley. So again, I'll read them. Taylor Harrison, Rooney, Schneider, Levanto, Boudelier, Blunden, and Pulley. Oh, hold on. Schneider, Levanto, Boudelier, Barb Blunden, and Michael Pulley. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Just hang on 1 sec. Okay.
Mayor Verbanovic votes for Taylor Harrison, Rooney, Boudelier, Pulley. Councillor Davey votes for Rooney, Schneider, Boudelier, and Pulley.
Hold on. Rudy, Schneider. Say those again.
Rooney, Schneider, Boudelier, Pulley.
Okay.
Councillor Singh votes for Levanto, Rooney, okay, Schneider, and Pulley. Councillor Etherington votes for Taylor Harrison, Boudelier, Pulley, and Schneider. Councillor Ioannidis votes for Rooney, Boudelier, Blunden, Schneider. Councillor Gazzola votes for Blunden, Boudelier. Sure. Councillor Gazzola votes for Blunden, Boudelier, Rooney, and Taylor Harrison. Okay. Councillor Marsh votes for Boudelier, Schneider, Rooney, and Levanto.
Sorry, what was the third one?
The third one was Rooney.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Schneider votes for Blunden, Rooney, Pulley, and Levanto.
London, Pooley.
Blunden, Rooney.
Oh, Rooney, okay, sorry.
Pulley, and Levanto.
Okay.
Councillor Fernandez votes for Taylor Harrison, Rooney, Boudelier, and Blunden. Councillor Galloway Seelock votes for Schneider, Levanto, Rooney, and Pulley. And Councillor Yaneski votes for Taylor Harrison, Boudelier, Rooney, and Blunden.
That's what I have too. So the successful candidates are Rooney, Boudelier, Schneider, and Pulley. Now go on to Safe and Healthy Community Advisory Committee. Councillor Schneider, are you interested in continuing on that committee? Yes, I am. Okay. Anybody else interested? Councillor Marsh.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Councillor Fernandez.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Yanetsky for that committee, please.
Okay. Councillor Yanetsky. Now I note this one says one member of council minimum. Doesn't specify a maximum. So unless there's any objections, Councillor Singh?
Yeah, I would encourage if there's an extra member that can be added. I'm sure the committee would love to have extra voices around the table.
Well, actually, we don't need to add anyone extra. What I'm saying is there's 3 people who are interested. There's no maximum.
No, I was encouraging, I think, more the merrier, at least for that committee.
Okay. So there's 3 people. Any objections to going with all 3? So all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Then the citizen reps on the committee are Tricia Smith. So all three of you, Councillor Yanetsky, Councillor Marsh, and Councillor Schneider. Oh, sorry, I didn't, thank you. I didn't ask about accepting. Apologies for that. Councillor Yanetsky, are you interested in being on the committee? Okay, Councillor Marsh, are you interested in being on the committee? Okay, yes. Oh, because there are two of you. Sorry. Apologies. So all three of you, we voted. We're good. We'll now move on to the citizen committees. The citizens nominated are Tricia Smith, Wasai Rahimi, Steve Bongelli, Greg Albert, Elizabeth Clark, Amori Ghanem Mohammed, Amy Venner, Darwin Whitmer, and Brian Page, with one being empty, or vacant rather. And then in addition to that, there is one rep that the Waterloo Regional Police Service nominates, and one rep that the Waterloo Regional Crime Prevention Council nominates. Somebody want to move the group that's here? Moved by Councillor Fernandez. Councillor Galloway-Seelock.
I'm just noting that there's pretty much a full turnover of the whole entire committee, minus one person. And this is the committee that has worked on the neighborhood strategy. I guess it is a question for staff. Like, is this two people? Is this a little bit concerning that we're seeing this, or?
Mr. May? I mean, there's two people that were on the neighborhood strategy, and that's Mr. Boronsky and Farwell. Mr. May.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can't speak to why the turnover is so significant. Do we have concern from a staff perspective? No, I don't think I do.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So it's been moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Center in the Square will be coming back to. Kitchener Housing will be coming back to. So then we deal with Kitchener-Waterloo Art Gallery Board of Directors. Councillor Marsh, are you interested in continuing on that committee?
Happy to continue, but also happy to let someone else join the committee. It meets about 5 times a year.
Okay. Is anyone else interested in being on the Art Gallery Board? Not,
all right.
Then
I'll stay.
Okay. All those in favor of Councillor Marsh? Opposed? That's carried. Actually, it's a claim. We don't need a vote. Councillor Yanetsky, are you interested in continuing on the hospital board? Sure. Okay. Anybody else interested? Not. Councillor Yanetsky, congratulations. Homer Watson House Foundation. Councillor Fernandez, you interested in continuing? Yes. Okay. Anybody else interested? No. Councillor Fernandez, you're back on there. Horticultural Society. Councillor Fernandez, you interested in continuing on there? Yes. Okay. Anybody else interested? Okay. That's completed. Huron Natural Area Joint Ventures Committee. Councillor Galloway-Seelock, you interested in continuing on that? Councillor Fernandez? Yes, please. Anybody else interested? If not, those are two committee members. Kitchener and Bloom. Councillor Singh, you interested in continuing? Yes. Anybody else interested? Councillor Yanetsky? Okay. Councillor Fernandez?
I'm interested as well.
Okay. Councillor Fernandez, because you all self-nominated, and Councillor Singh, you've indicated that you want to stay on there? Okay, so we have a vote. One of Councillor Singh. Oh, Councillor Singh, yep.
I don't know why it would hurt for having perhaps an extra council member on the committee.
Can staff help on that one? Because I know this is really more. Is it our committee as much as nobody has any idea? Everyone's shaking their heads.
It is our resource staff that facilitate it, so.
But it's not. It's a non-city citizens committee, correct? Yeah.
John? Yeah.
Okay, so are you suggesting that there'd be 3 or 2 or what?
2, I think. Otherwise, 3 would be heavy because there's not that many members on the committee. So 2, I think, would be appropriate.
Okay, so I'll take that as a motion to increase it to 2. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So we need to vote for 2 of Singh, Yanetsky, and Fernandez.
Councillor Etherington votes for Singh and Fernandez. Councillor Ioannidis votes for Singh and Fernandez. Councillor Gazzola votes for Singh and Yanetsky. Councillor Marsh votes for Singh and Fernandez. Councillor Schneider votes for Singh and Fernandez. Councillor Yanetsky votes for Fernandez and Yanetsky. Councillor Fernandez votes for Fernandez and Yanetsky. Mayor Verbanovic votes for Singh and Fernandez. Councillor Davey votes for Fernandez and Singh. Councillor Galloway-Sealock votes for Singh and Yanetsky. And Councillor Singh votes for Singh and Fernandez.
So it would be Councillor Singh and Councillor Fernandez on that committee. Moving on then to the Multicultural Center Board of Directors. Councillor Marsh, are you interested in continuing on that? Anybody else interested in that committee? Okay, Councillor Marsh, you're back there. Oktoberfest, Councillor Ioannidis, are you interested in continuing on that? Councillor Schneider, are you interested in continuing on that? Yes, please. Any further nominations? Councillor Gazzola.
I nominate Councillor Yanetsky.
Councillor Yanetsky, okay. Any further nominations? Okay, Councillor Yanetsky, are you interested in being on that committee? Oktoberfest. Okay. So we'll have a vote. 2 of 3 people. Councillors Ioannidis, Schneider, and Yanetsky.
Councillor Ioannidis votes for Ioannidis and Schneider. Councillor Gazzola votes for Yanetsky and Schneider. Councillor Marsh votes for Ioannidis and Schneider. Councillor Schneider votes for Ioannidis and Schneider. Councillor Yanetsky votes for Schneider and Yanetsky. Councillor Fernandez votes for Schneider and Yanetsky. Mayor Verbanovic votes for Yanetsky and Schneider. Councillor Davey votes for Ioannidis and Schneider. Councillor Galloway-Sealock votes for Schneider and Ioannidis. Councillor Etherington votes for Schneider and Ioannidis. And Councillor Singh votes for Schneider and Yanetsky.
Okay, Madam Clerk, I'm going to need some help here because I'd lost track somewhere along the way. Okay, so it would be Councillor Schneider and Councillor Ioannidis. And Councillor Galloway Seelock, are you interested in continuing on Laurier?
I'm actually going to nominate.
Oh, thank you. Go ahead.
I'm going to nominate Councillor Singh.
Okay. Councillor Singh has been nominated. Councillor Fernandez.
Yes, Councillor Gazzola, please.
Okay. Councillor Gazzola has been nominated. Councillor Gazzola.
I was going to nominate Councillor Fernandez.
I'll get to that in a second. Any other nominations? It's okay. Councillor Fernandez? Councillor Gazzola?
I'll decline.
That leaves Councillor Singh. So Councillor Singh, you'll be the new rep on Laurier. I think, Madam Clerk, does that... Sorry? Oh. Hold on. Oh, okay. So we have to still deal with Bob McCall's on Kitchener Housing. So Mr. McCall will require special consent of council to be considered again, but it is the board's desire to see him in that role. And I guess I would add that I think right now it is for a variety of reasons of continuity that would be important, I think, for council as well. Councillor Fernandez.
I was actually going to concur with exactly what you said.
Okay. Councillor Galloway Seelock.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I'm just wondering if we're dealing with Bob McCall, if we should deal with the councillors on that committee as well, because we skipped over that one. It's already good? Okay.
They're good
Perfect.
for the full 4 years.
And
So
we're golden.
okay, so motion's been made to extend Councillor McCall's term, or to allow him to go for a third term. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. And then I guess a motion to approve Councillor McCall. All those in favor? Sorry. To approve Mr. McCall. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And Ms. Keys, we won't be dealing with today. Yes, Councillor Marsh.
I don't know if we need to, but we skipped over the two other committee members who have exceeded their 8 years maximum. Should we just, I mean, we've already approved them, so, but we didn't. Mark Bingaman and Jeremy Auger on ECDEV, EDAC, I should say. Do we need to approve?
Thank you for reminding us of that. So we'll do it retroactively. Motion to extend them beyond their 8. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So that looks after that. And now we get into Kitchener Hydro. You see there is a note here with respect to ratifying Mr. Schnarr and Mr. Phillips to May 31, 2017. And that, yeah. Okay, Councillor Galloway Seelock, move that.
I'll move that.
Sorry?
It's just my mic's on now, so I just said I'd move
okay.
that.
All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And then, Madam Clerk, is the intention we're dealing with the council one this evening, or we won't, or we'll come back to that in May or June? Oh, sorry, in February. Or should we just deal with it now? Okay, do it now. Okay, Councillor Galloway Seal. So, you helping me there? Hold on.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my apologies. I didn't have a page 11. So, yes, for your councillor terms are from Councillor Etherington has been extended to March 15th, 27, as has Councillor Galloway Seelock. You're looking for 2 councillors for March the 16th, 2017 to May 31st, 2018.
So March 16, 2017 to May 31, 2018?
Yes, and that is 2 councillors.
Okay. Councillor Galloway Seelock.
Yes, I move Councillor Ioannidis and Councillor Davey.
Okay. Councillor Singh.
Nominate one.
Okay. Councillor Fernandez.
Yes, I nominate Councillor Yunetsky.
Okay. Commissioner Hydro. Any other nominations? Okay, Councillor Yunetsky, do you accept? Yes. Councillor Davey, do you accept? Councillor Ioannidis, do you accept? Okay. So we'll be voting for 2 of 3 between Ioannidis, Davey, and Yunetsky, and it's for a term starting March 16th, 2017, going to May 31, 2018.
Councillor Yunetsky votes for Yunetsky and Davey. Councillor Fernandez votes for Yunetsky and Davey. Councillor Marsh votes for Davey and Ioannidis. Councillor Schneider votes for Davey and Ioannidis. Mayor Verbanovic votes for Ioannidis and Davey. Councillor Galloway Seelock votes for Davey and Ioannidis. Councillor Davey votes for Ioannidis and Davey. Councillor Singh votes for Davey and Ioannidis. Councillor Etherington votes for Davey and Ioannidis. And Councillor Ioannidis votes for Davey and Ioannidis.
Okay, so that would make Councillor Ioannidis and Davey as the 2 candidates for Hydro. And I think now, Madam Clerk, that completes our list. Unless Ms. Carabo tells us otherwise. She keeps us honest. Oh. Yeah. Oh, we're still missing something? Okay, hang on, folks. Yes, I thought we did that. Oh, okay, so there is one more for hydro, and that was the third paragraph. James Phillips and David Schnarr be nominated to serve as independent directors of Kitchener Power, effective June 1, 2017. Okay, that's yeah. Okay. So moved by Councillor Davey. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And now we're done. Correct? Awesome. Sorry? No. Motion to go in camera. Moved by Councillor Etherington, second by Councillor Schneider. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Motion for 3 readings. Councillor Ioannidis, Councillor Marsh. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Singh, Councillor Davey. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.